I did decide to dedicate the book to the people of Taiwan. To the people of Taiwan, who are truly among the kindest and most generous people in the world. And that really is my main thing that I want to say is just thank you. Thank you for all the good times and happy memories that you gave to me. And I hope that this book is a fitting tribute to you, the people of Taiwan, and to the absolutely wonderful place that you get to call home.
And here we are with Mark Crilly, who may or may not have written a book about me and my life in Taiwan. At least that's how it feels. Before we get too much into this book here, who are you and why did you decide to write a book about being lost in Taiwan?
My name is Mark Crilly. I was born and raised in America. Grew up in Detroit, Michigan. When I graduated from college, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I got a recommendation from someone who had taught English in Taiwan back in the 1970s. And they hooked me up with the YMCA, and at that point, I couldn't have even found Taiwan on a map. I knew nothing about it, but I immediately was like, sure, let's do it. That sounds exciting, you know. And before I knew it, 3 months after college graduation, I was on a plane flying out to Taiwan, where I settled down in Zhongxiao and was teaching English with the YMCA for a year and a half, from 1988 to 1990. Went to other places, including Japan, and then I went back for a second stint, one more year, 1993 to 94. I thought, why not a book about Taiwan? And I can tap into all of those memories and all the great times that I had there.
Okay, now I even have more questions than when I started this. The first time then was 1988.
That's right, 1988, and so I was experiencing a Taiwan that was, you know, fairly high tech, but nothing like it is right now. Every once in a while, I will see, you know, video of what Taiwan is like right now, and everything is, you know, high-speed trains and high-tech everything. And so if I ever get to go back there, I'm sure it'll blow my mind. But you know how it is. Some things change and some things stay the same. So I bet there's certain pillars of Taiwan culture that are exactly the same as they were back then. But of course, as I prepared to do this book, I watched a lot of YouTube videos and different things and did my best. I follow a lot of accounts on Instagram that are showing me what life is like in Taiwan right now. So I hope that I was able to capture current Taiwan. But yeah, it's all, memories from 30 years ago.
This literally feels like you wrote a book about my life, and nothing has changed since 1994 when it comes to the crazy scooters on the street. I don't want to spoil too much about this book because every single one should read this book. Only book I've read that if you're a foreigner specifically, you need to read it twice. Before you come to Taiwan and then afterwards when you have lived here for a while, because you get to follow Paul's life during his first couple of weeks here in Taiwan, and I guarantee you it's every single foreigner's life literally squeezed into a amazing book.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Lukas, for saying that. It's very gratifying to know that it resonates with you and that you see it as something that captures that experience. Sees a family of 4 all on a single scooter. Okay, so that is something that I think almost any Westerner will sort of be a little bit surprised to see. Oh my God, I never see 4 people on one scooter But back in 1988, none of them would have been wearing helmets. So that was something that has changed, and that was something that I had to sort of update to make it more current. So that was the kind of balancing act that I was doing of drawing upon my own memories and then also making sure that I'm capturing Taiwan as it is right now.
Every single detail, there's not a page that does not have something that it's these details that are so unique for Taiwan. That's why you need to read this book twice, because you can literally hear the sound of these metal doors sliding up as the morning market starts and the breakfast shops are waking up, and the way you're illustrating it as well. It literally feels like I'm back my first week in Taiwan. Do you still remember your first impressions or your first shocks of your first time here in Taiwan in 1988.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll never forget, and one of the magical things about how I arrived in Taiwan is we arrived quite late at night. Got out of the bus, and there's all the neon signs, in Chinese characters, and the smells and the music and everything hit me all at once. And yeah, it was like love at first sight. I was blown away by the thrill, and this was my first experience of any Far Eastern part of the world. So those memories will never leave me, foods and stuff that you've never seen before. I got kind of addicted to it, frankly. I felt like this is as exciting as life can be. This is what it's all about.
And I have never laughed as hard from reading a book as when he's taken these prayer blocks and he's putting like the incense, and he's closing his eyes praying, and then he opens one eye to look at the Taiwanese friend to figure out what is going on, what am I supposed to do, how long am I going to stay here, am I doing it right? This is just something that it would only happen from a foreigner in Taiwan, and I don't think even Taiwanese people would not really understand these situations that you're mentioning in the book, but you're describing it so well. But from your personal life that may or may not be in this book, what were like the strongest memories that you still maybe like might reflect and think back on from those early days?
It's the people. The Taiwanese people are so incredibly friendly and welcoming and generous. I sure hope that experience has not changed at all. I mean, I was making friends all over the place. Once you open yourself up to making friends with the Taiwanese people, you can make friends absolutely anywhere. I remember I used to take the bus from Zhongxiao to Taichung. Behind me were these two young women who sort of started talking to me, and before I knew it, we became friends, and we would get together and have meals together. They would take me to the tea houses. I hope they still have the Chinese tea houses. That was a big part of my experience in Taiwan, and you can see how I tried to work that into the book. I have a scene that really focuses on the Chinese tea and the preparation and everything like that. It's sort of miraculous that I could make total strangers into friends just riding on a bus. That basically has never happened to me anywhere except in Taiwan.
We do get to see like a lot of, accurate locations. Two places in particular. We had a visit to the Big Buddha in Zhonghua, I believe. Yeah. It looks extremely similar. Yeah. And then also these like Sanheyuan, these like old traditional houses where the grandpas are living. Maybe this is a foreign stereotype, but you nailed it again, because I've only seen like old people living in these kind of houses. I've been traveling around, I've been doing my fair share, and it's exactly, the first time you get to visit these places, there's an old grandpa who has this entire ceremony doing the tea, I come from microwave, 30 seconds. Okay, good enough.
Well, yeah, I do have a lot of affection for Zhonghua, naturally, having lived there. But, when you were in Zhonghua and you wanted to go to the most historic place in Taiwan, you would go to Lukas. I don't know if I'm getting the tones of that right, but that was always a magical place to go, because they had preserved, I think, more of the old buildings, and you felt like you'd stepped back in time when you went to Lukas. And they had a local pastry there. I think it's called the Niuxia Bing or something like that, the cow's tongue cake. I remember I really loved those things, and I kind of love the fact that there are these local specialties, like, when you go to Lugang, you gotta have the Niuxia Bing, you go to this place, you gotta have that, There was some place, I wish I could remember what town it was in. It was somewhere down south. They took me to a restaurant where the claim to fame was that they had not washed this pot, and they had built up all of the sort of flavor of decades of you could see it didn't even look like a pot anymore, frankly. But these are all among these really fascinating experiences that burn their way into your brain. I've never had encountered anything like that in all of my travels, this idea of the special pot that had been used for so many years and was supposed to convey flavor that you couldn't get from any other pot, that kind of thing.
Oh wow! Yeah, I haven't heard about this pot. Hopefully, if anyone is watching this video, please do let me know, and I promise I will find it and see if they still use the same pot. So
yeah, I'm curious. Hopefully, they haven't shut that place down for sanitary reasons.
Do you have a general like a favorite Taiwanese food? What's like your go-to?
You saw that I put in a little section about the shuijiao. Maybe Zhongxiao is that the steamed dumplings where they steam it in the bamboo containers. That's the stuff. That's the form of the jiaozi that I really liked the most. And they would always serve it with the suan la tang. I think the hot and sour soup. I kind of loved this idea that there are restaurants in Taiwan where, you almost don't need to have a menu. It's like, here are the two things that we make. And you come here and you have those two things, right? That was one thing actually that I witnessed in terms of changing times. In 1988 to 1990, they were still folding the jiaozi by hand. But by 1994, they bought a machine, and you could see it being folded by machine. And I was like, not the same. I don't even know the Chinese word for it because they would always refer to it in Taiwanese, oazen, the fried oyster omelet, I think is what it was. Again, special to, I think to Zhanghua, maybe to that local area. The rou yuan, the baowan, I think they would say in Taiwanese, this big gelatinous, like giant-sized dumpling with a sauce or something. And then, of course, you can't forget the chou tofu, the stinky tofu. I still have fond memories, and especially because I can't get them. You can't find that anywhere in Michigan, sadly.
How many books do we need to sell to have a meet and greet in Taiwan so we get it signed?
Let's put it at 25. I think that's enough, and then I'll get over it. I was going to point out to you, one of my drawing books, one of them was published in Taiwan. And look how big they put my name right there on the front cover. So I do have hopes of Lost in Taiwan getting a Chinese language edition. That would be a thrill. And I haven't given up on it. These things always come from the local publisher, right? A Taiwanese publisher has to see the book and feel that there's a market for it in Taiwan. Fingers crossed, it would really be great to see that happen. And if that did happen, I think I would try to somehow finagle a trip to Taiwan. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance.
So any book publisher who is watching this video now, you have, of course, all the information down in the description below. And if you do want to purchase your own sample of this book, you have the Amazon link there as well. And, of course, shipping to Taiwan. This book is in English, we should mention, but just the illustrations, it's just magical. If anyone around the world just wants to know how it feels to live in Taiwan, then this is it. We should also mention that you are a YouTuber as well. You have over 3 million followers on YouTube, 400 million views, and we don't even talk about that because we're talking about this book instead.
Yeah, well, that is a whole nother topic. But yeah, I was one of these lucky guys who started making how to draw videos on YouTube way back at the beginning. YouTube itself had only been in existence maybe 2.5 years, something like that. And so I got to be a kind of a big fish in a small pond, one of the first people to make videos that show you how to draw. But it's interesting for me to think about you and how YouTube has transformed your experience being overseas. You get to have a unique experience of this book, actually, because we haven't mentioned the fact that whenever someone speaks Chinese in the book, I switch into Chinese. The older brother has a Taiwanese girlfriend, and as soon as they start talking to each other, it all switches into Chinese. Now, my thinking was that for the vast majority of Americans, they would not be able to read that, and they would be forced to have the same experience that a foreigner has in Taiwan when they can't understand what people are saying. But for people like you, and for any Taiwanese people who get this book, they will be able to read those that part of it, and it'll just switch into the other language, and so that is a kind of an interesting experience to know that different people reading the book are going to experience that part in a different way.
And just another thing is just the way that the older brother in this case learning Chinese, where they put like the Chinese characters and the English translation and like the pinyin like upside down on literally like all the products in the house. Like I've been there, and all my roommates have been there, all my friends have been there. But for me, it was we asked our Taiwanese buddy, like our classmate, to just do these notes for us because we didn't know how to write the characters. So we had to ask like a Taiwanese, and she just like walked around our entire apartment. And she puts these, like, she didn't understand why we needed this, but she put it on everything. And on the toilet, on like actually like the toilet seat, she wrote like "ma tong," which is like it means like toilet seat, but we thought it meant toilet, and like where is the bathroom, So like we learned that. So for like my first 6 months, I went into like a restaurant. I was like, "Excuse me, sir, where is the toilet seat?" And
that's so funny.
And then like you know how Taiwanese people are. They're like, they try to help you. They would never correct you once they finally understand. So it's like, I must have went up to like, every McDonald's and like Bafang Unji dumpling store in Taipei. It's like, "Excuse me, where is the toilet seat?" Without revealing too much, it kind of feels like this book is opening up for at least some motivation for Paul to come back to Taiwan. And if that is the case, I assume there will be a second book, and then you have to come back to Taiwan to do some more research.
That's absolutely true. I like the way you think, Lukas. This is a great idea. Yeah, I would love to be able to do a sequel to this book. There's certainly more story to tell. And you can kind of see, not to give anything away, but there's sort of hints of it, even as we reach the conclusion of the story, some sense of this not being Paul's last time in Taiwan. Who knows, maybe he ends up there for 13 years like you. The truth is, I really just want to express my gratitude to the people of Taiwan. I suppose you would have read the dedication. I did decide to dedicate the book to the people of Taiwan. To the people of Taiwan, who are truly among the kindest and most generous people in the world. And that really is my main thing that I want to say, is just thank you. Thank you for all the good times and happy memories that you gave to me. And I hope that this book is a fitting tribute to you, the people of Taiwan, and to the absolutely wonderful place that you get to call home.
And thank you for watching this video as well. My name is Lukas. It starts with L as in like, ends with S as in subscribe. Please do both, and see you all in the next one.